couple here, and then I'll work back to you. All right, sir. Yes, sir.
Hi, Buzz. So proud of you and all the astronauts, what you've done for our country. You're the real heroes. I wanted to ask you, when will we restart the space program? Right now we're in a lull, and I understand that if we want to send an American up to the orbit where we have the space station, we have to pay the Russians millions of dollars to get a ride up there. When do we restart it and get on track?
Those things just didn't happen. We made very crucial mistakes that caused that to happen. We need to understand how those mistakes came about that left us in that kind of a position. And they've happened several times since the Apollo mission. I am putting together a group of people to look at the evolution of space policy, to look at the good decisions we've made over the years and the not so good ones. I know what the not so good ones are. But if I were to tell people, they would politically cut off my legs. But if I get eminent retired people who are very respected for their position to agree on these good things and bad things, then they won't be criticized as much. But we still are in a position that is not a good one today, because of decisions right after Apollo that left us, because they weren't implemented, that left us in a hurry to piece together a space shuttle, putting crew and cargo together. One of the first things the accident board said, separate crew and cargo. And then they said on the launch vehicle, but they didn't say what launch vehicle, and that led to confusion. It led to a vision for space exploration of going to the moon with inadequate planning to be able to carry that out. And that's why we're in the position.
And like anything, it's like when they build a carrier, for example, it's years before you even see it get to that point. The shuttles go back to, I think, the Nixon era, and then the decisions to stop it. Right now, by the way, the price of admission for one of those seats, Russia charges us $60 to $100 million per seat. And there's something, I agree, being a little, you got to hope Putin's in a good mood. The price doesn't go up.
Yes, you can't keep the spacesuits, that's the man.
I'd like to echo what everyone has said. Thank you, Colonel Aldrin, for your service, and you're a true hero. My question is a lot more spiritual, less technical. There's a depiction in the Tom Hanks miniseries, From the Earth to the Moon, where upon landing, you administered yourself communion. And I'm curious, is that accurate? And if you could reflect on the significance of that moment for us.
When we were assigned as the crew to Apollo 11 with the potential, if the next two missions were successful, we'd be given a chance to land on the moon, I felt the symbolism of what we were about to do was very important to communicate that with our emblem, our patch. And I thought carefully about that and really couldn't come up with something better than Mike Collins' view of the eagle. That's the name of our spacecraft, the symbol of our country. The eagle with the Earth in the background about to make a landing on the moon. That was pretty good, but it became perfect when somebody suggested, why don't you have the eagle carrying the olive branch of peace? We had a plaque that we would read that says, we came in peace for all mankind. And that symbolism, without the names of the crewmen, because that was not important. It was important that the symbol of our country was peacefully about to land on the moon. Yes, I did look for some ceremony that I could perform for myself that in a sense would reflect at that time my growing up, being on this particular mission, and then giving thanks. And since I've been consulting with the Presbyterian minister, a very good friend of mine, I asked him, could I serve myself communion on the moon? I was an elder in the Presbyterian Church along with John Glenn and Charlie Bassett and some others. And he said, yes, you can. So we prepared the elements. I told the head of the flight crew operations, Deke Slayton, what I was planning on doing. And he said, that's fine, just do not tell anyone what you are doing when you're doing it. He had to put up with Madeleine Murray O'Hare giving NASA a bit of a problem when Apollo 8 at Christmas time around the moon read from Genesis, a very moving moment for most of those back on Earth. And he just didn't want to have another one like that, so I did not say what I was doing. I said, this is the lunar module pilot. I'd like to ask everyone listening in to think of the events of the last few hours and each give thanks in their own way for the success of what we have achieved. And it wasn't until years later, I guess, that I gave an interview and revealed exactly what I was doing on the moon.
And Madeleine Murray O'Hare is still dead, for those of you taking notes. All right.
Well, I want to add that those were the feelings of a 39-year-old who had grown up, and that was what I thought was appropriate at the time. I have matured a good bit since then and broadened my scope, so it's not just dealing with one particular ceremony for one particular or several different religions. It's a much broader concept. Einstein would call it a cosmic religious spirituality. I look on it the way that with Albert Einstein and that Stephen Hawking do. There is a higher power that put into motion the universe around us and all of the things that we are able to do as choosing individuals.
All right. And the other thing is, on that 600 million people watching at that time didn't exactly go, I don't know when I watch this, I don't know if this matches my religious tradition. So it was all about that unified moment. Yes, ma'am?
Can I get the song that you showed in the video?
Can you get the song? It's on YouTube, is it?
It's on YouTube.
Is it on the website too, on BuzzAldrin.com, or just YouTube it? Make sure you find it on YouTube.
I believe it is.
All right, we're going to take a couple more quick questions here because we want to get to the signing. It's going to take us a while. This is kind of a crowd, so I want to try to get some from most of the sections here. Let's get this young man right here because the kids love to ask questions too. Go ahead. And you have a spacecraft, alien, I understand, on your shirt.
What was the scariest part in your experience on going to the moon?
Well, we were about 30,000 feet, about halfway descending. Things looked pretty good. The landing radar was beginning to feed in information, and the error between what it said and what the computer said was getting smaller and smaller, indicating that information was being incorporated. And all of a sudden, beep, 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 a program alarm. And the 3 registers on the computer, that's all we had, 3 different sets of numbers, they all went blank, and it started flashing 1202. That's a program alarm. We're not supposed to have program alarms when we're halfway down. The answer to what 1202 means is in a very thick book that we had called the Guidance and Navigation Dictionary. And the 2 of us were not going to stop what we were doing and look in the book. So Neil said, Houston, give us a reading on that program alarm. Fortunately, there was somebody who was able to quickly come up with the understanding of that because of his previous knowledge and the knowledge of the computer. So he said, we're go on that flight, meaning flight director. So the flight director gave the instructions to the capsule communicator, Charlie Duke, and he said, we're go on that alarm. And if it didn't increase more than one time a minute, why, we were okay. When we got down to 3,000 feet, it switched to a 1201 alarm instead of 1202, so we got the information. We're going at alarm 2. So we continued on, and that was nice and peaceful.
How many seconds of fuel? You were on
Well, we
empty.
got down to 500 feet above the ground. Looked pretty well. That's the time when the commander begins to take over manual directions, feeding directions into the computer in a very straightforward way, but it enables him to be doing the controlling of the spacecraft. When we got to about 100 feet, the light goes on, flashing light, fuel level flight, and I hear Charlie Duke say 60 seconds. I know what that means. That's how much fuel we got left. And we're 500 feet. I was beginning to get a little concerned. By the time he said 30 seconds, I could see we were 10 feet above the ground. I was feeling a whole lot better. So I started seeing our shadow and the dust kicking up, and when that light came on, I said, contact light, engine stop. We were on the ground.
All right. We'll take one more question. Now you understand what that last story with this harrowing as that was. When you go back to watch when Charlie Duke is there in mission control and he goes,
You had a bunch of guys about to turn blue down here.
he couldn't even almost blue saying Roger Tranquility. He came out like Elmer Fudd, Roger Tranquility. He was so excited. So you understand when Buzz or when the late Neil Armstrong were asked, Neil Armstrong was here a few years ago for the Apollo 8 40th anniversary, and I remember somebody asked, which foot was it that you put down first? And Neil, who's normally just nice, cool, calm, collected, said, why do people keep asking? Ask about the landing. Now you know why. Okay, one more question, and then we're going to go right to signing, and you have a chance to chat a little bit, but don't take long time. We want to get everybody through. It's not a sleepover tonight as much as we'd love to have you at the museum. So one more question, sir.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask if you felt that you're looking into the sky, did you feel there's life on other planets? The moon looking up.
Do you feel there's life on other planets out there somewhere, Buzz?
Well, in 1996, I wrote a science fiction story about aliens who came from the closest star system. By that time, we had no knowledge that there were even planets around all those stars. Since then, we've discovered quite a few, big ones in close, small ones. We even have discovered a planet in the closest star system to us, Alpha Centauri. I don't know why the world isn't more excited about that. That's the closest planet to us, and it's Earth-sized. May not have any life on it, but of the billions of stars out there, most of them appear to have objects, planets going around them. And it's just a question of probability and statistics. Sooner or later, there are going to be conditions just like we had here, and the stability of the conditions of heat, temperature from the sun, but also a moon that gives tides in the ocean, which also contribute to fluctuations that give life a chance to get underway. There are bound to be life forms of some sort within our galaxy and the billions of other galaxies. The problem is the speed of light is the fastest that communications go and that light travels. So Are we going to find something out there? Are they going to send the signal to us? Well, if they're far enough away, they send the signal